Hello, everybody. It is my pleasure to be introducing love berries to you all today. Um, it is an intra-community currency that we have been experimenting and playing with in this small circle within this organization, Starter Cultures, for a while now. And yeah, excited to share the story and how it works as we go through this course together today. Um, the origin itself is, oh, I guess thinking back, it was originally called Livelihood Bucks. It eventually grew to LBs, then Love Bucks, and then Love Berries. We were in this relational learning pod together, which grew to 8 of us. And we'd been really deeply examining our relationship to money, livelihood, wealth, exploring our own healing journeys towards giving and receiving from a place of abundance and care, um, working on our how we ask for help and share needs and flow, and examining how we're experiencing scarcity, and how that mindset infiltrates so much of how we be. And we wanted to find ways to practice deeper interdependence and new ways to flow livelihood, and flow money, within this small community network. And from that, we'd been doing a lot of different readings and deep conversations and reflections. And something that really resonated with all of us was this the Service Berry article by Robin Wall Kimmerer. That's actually where the berries came in eventually. And a quote that stuck with me was this the story of this tribe in South America. And this member of the tribe had just brought back this large um, kill, and had described to an anthropologist who was in awe of why he was giving away all this meat. And the story, the quote he shared was, "Store my meat?" Question mark. I store my meat in the belly of my brother, and that always. Uh, yeah, I found deep resonance with that. In how do we build the systems of security and support, and around a lot of these money stories, so around a lot of this with our finances. And so, um, thinking about how we flow when we're feeling abundant and support each other, and help people who are in need, who are feeling scarce, have their needs met in that moment, with confidence in the reciprocity of the system in our relationships. And so all through relationship, but all flowing organically. And so the intentions behind Love Berries were examining and understanding and growing in attention with our own relationships with money, wealth, and value exchange, which is at the core of this learning journey that we were on. Second was really getting deep into practice. What does it mean to give and receive? Personally, I've struggled with receiving. I can give easily, but not necessarily receive very well. And that comes from compliments to support to actual, gifts or finances. And so this was, how can we practice these things? And then, of course, growing in our understanding of our interdependence. And some of that is there's so many flows that happen within relationship that are not seen. And how can we make more of those flows seen, especially transparently, in a way where we can start to see the interconnected relational network between us, and grow to a place of feeling comfortable investing in that, because we have this deeper context of, oh, there is reciprocity within this container, which is always why Love Berries has been like an intra-community currency, not something growing. As once you can see the flows within the relationships, there's deeper trust that you can build in the long-term reciprocity, long-term investment of, this place is somewhere where, secure. And I want to, more importantly than having a large savings account, to me, it's how do we save and invest in community and have security come through those relationships, and trusting that we'll get the support when it's needed, and this complex system of this relational network is what we want to invest in. So making these flows seen in a way was part of the intention behind Loveberry. Um, I guess, yeah, to touch briefly, it's been quite the experiment. It's been amazing to see it unfold, um, and not just in a place of attaching livelihood flows and some level of value to different levels of appreciation. But we've noticed that it's almost a culture driver. Being able to put value in what you value and what you are receiving, and let that be known, um, builds this culture of, oh yeah, I want to support that, or I want to be like that, or that is something that we value as a community, as a collective. And so as we've seen LB's Loveberries flow, which I'll get into the details of how they work in a second, um, we've seen um, we've been able to really bring up where people are finding the most out of our relationships. And some might think it would be, you know, a support on a project. But we've noticed a lot more. It's the smaller relational supportive care work often. And so as so many communities go through levels of care work that are not being supported, not being seen or appreciated, or having any money attached to that work, this has been a way for us to help navigate that kind of that challenge, and help those that are putting a lot of investment into the systems, into the relationships, to be able to be seen and valued in that work. And of course, potentially have real financial stability come through that work, all just through the relational flows of LBs. I'll share a few with you. I'm trying to keep this short and I'm already long-winded. These were a couple that we had that I want to just point out. Flowing 10 LBs to X for coming in clutch with a serial mascots check-in at Killed with the group. This was around a facilitator who was looking for a check-in, and so just supporting each other. Another one, I also want to flow 10 LBs for prompting me this morning with the gentlest questions to explore tightness I was experiencing. By holding me with your exceptional curiosity and patience, you allowed me to recognize and begin to release a weight I didn't realize I was carrying. Once again, valuing things that we are receiving and helping those be seen in the community. I'd like to gift for her gift of nurturing and tending to relational space. I feel very cared for and seen by you, and comforted by knowing that there is a warm space waiting for me in a Zoom room whenever I need it. I feel both warmth in my chest and also some heaviness in my abdomen. There is a certain style of flow that we usually use to write and share these, kind of a template for how we write out the flows, which I'll share in a second. But once again, this is an opportunity for someone to appreciate another in a deeper support that maybe wouldn't be seen or taken care of, or had a flow of a flow of livelihood or money within the community. One other one is I'd like to flow 80 LBs to this person. It is also nowhere close to the value I've received from you. My story is that even though you probably haven't been doing a lot of time doing stuff in this group compared to some others putting time in, your contribution is beyond doing. I vividly remember how you held space for, like, during a Wednesday hangout last year. The way you held space allowed us to deepen our connections with each other. Once again, LBs is a culture driver, valuing what people are putting in and what people are finding value in. A quick overview of how LBs work. Up to now, we've been tying them to the U.S. currency, and so we've been having this flow of the first rule. Rule number one is any community member can invest dollars into LBs at a 90% exchange rate. So 10% has been flowing to the community pool, which we periodically come back to and see and explore what we'd like to do with this larger collective fund. But 90% goes to an individual's piggy bank. And so once you put $10 into LBs, you'd get $9 out into LBs, and $1 would go to the community pool. The rule number two is that any individual with LBs can flow those LBs to another community member at any time. So once you have those 9 LBs in your individual piggy bank, you can flow those to anyone else at any time for whatever reason you feel fit. And the last rule is LBs can be withdrawn for money at any time at a 1-to-1 ratio. So we've been using PayPal or Venmo, but at any time, if someone's like, I'm feeling scarce, I'm struggling with rent. I personally an issue with my the van I was living in, and I had to ask for some support and then flowed that out. And so anytime you can withdraw um, LBs for actual currency you could use in, for material things in the real world. I don't want to say real world, but for the most part, the LBs have stayed within and flown between each other. And then in times of needs, people have withdrawn what they needed to. Yeah. The flow communication format. This is what I was sharing earlier about kind of the context and how we've shared our flows. And this is where a lot of the own reflective, understanding, somatic, checking in with your emotions and feelings, kind of lens of this, and it's based off of a T group format of a communication practice that we've been using. But in general, within a communication channel, you would say, I flow X amount of LBs to this person for whatever reason. I feel and share your sensations and emotions, and the story I have is what. This has allowed us to really get into a more embodied, um, connecting, heart-centered view of how we're flowing with each other and allowing the reflections to come from that. We've also seen people respond to someone receiving LBs, someone who just received LBs responding with a similar format. As I receive these LBs, I'm feeling this, and the story I have is this, and allowing for a deeper relational weaving to happen through every LB flow. The LB infrastructure, I'll just touch on real quick because we'll dive more into this when we have a first introduction in week 1. But a Slack channel, this is just a place for everyone to flow different LBs. You could invest, you could withdraw. This would be the place to do that. The Google Sheet is just a transparent place where anytime you can look up how many LBs everyone has, how many you have, what you'd like to invest, what you'd like to flow to others, what you'd like to withdraw, and then once again go back to use that Slack channel to do any flows that you're feeling like you'd like to with the format that was just mentioned on the previous slide. The treasurer is someone who takes responsibility to manage the financial holdings and input all of the Slack flows into the Google Sheet. I believe for this course, we'll have this kind of broken up into a couple different lenses. And of course, we will be connecting LBs to euros instead of dollars. And that will be held with the Greaterthan team. While myself probably doing it at least 2 to 3 times a week, making sure to check in on the Slack channel and update all the flows into the Google Sheet and try to keep it up to date as much as possible. Yeah, so that is it for the basic overview of love berries. We'll have a lot of time to dive more into some of the details, get into the actual practice itself, answer any questions. And I believe we're still figuring out some of the details about how this will work throughout our 8-week journey together. But wanted to give a quick teaser of love berries and how we've been using them in our small learning pod community, and just share once again my excitement to experiment with all of you. And I'll be available for any other questions that come up or anything else that might be alive in you and inspired. And we'll definitely plant the seed of I would love to. This was a first round experiment that we've been following and growing upon and building, but I'd love to hear how it maybe inspires you to take a little bit of this, take a lot of this, shift a lot of this, or whatever it might be, but exploring different ways to deepen our interdependence and see the flows happening between us and use that as a way to build culture and build deeper engagement and co-creative energy within a community. So want to thank you all and look forward to connecting soon.